Hi everybody, I guess you can consider this a follow-up video to this one, where I gave you an app that you can change the colors in R6720, but this has to do with the original game, or I should say the Peasants' Rebellion. Probably the Shadow Kingdom is the same, but I don't know. I have the disc for it, but I am too lazy to go get it out. So just a quick overview throughout this video of what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be using a program that I wrote to modify this file right here. It seems like this file is where the colors are for the player flags, for all the colors that are used in the Shadow Kingdom and the Peasants' Rebellion campaigns. This is a little program that I wrote, and the way it's going to work is what you see in gray is going to be excluded. So the last green you see is the color that we're going to change, and this is what we're going to change it to. We're going to change it to a solid, instead of green, how about I change it to a solid blue? That's better. So right now, when it says default, I'm not going to change default to a solid blue. It's the only exception where I'm going to make it the default. Let's go to the Shadow Kingdom Mission 1. As you can see, it's red, but I'm going to change the red now. I want to change the red to the blue. Done. Okay, we're here again. Now you can see that it changes the roof too, so it's undesirable. You can't really change it and it's a solid blue. There's different shades. There's 7 different shades actually that are in the file, the PAL1 file, that will make it so that it doesn't look like this. It looks better than this. For example, if we zoom in on the flags of the storehouse, we can see that they're just different shades if we were to take a screenshot of the game. And so that's why it looks good, because of the different shades, of course, right? So the problem with this is it's not like what I showed in this video, that there's just one color that when you change it, it automatically will convert it to all the different necessary shades. That's not how the original game appears to work. So I claim that this one file here, out of all of these PAL files, and this one I created, this is a copy of this one, the original, so that the program I wrote that I'm using to change the colors is going to make a copy of this and modify it and rename it to this. This is the one file that the game uses for all 11 colors that are used in the Peasants' Rebellion and the Shadow Kingdom campaigns. And so when you open that file up in a hex editor, which I showed in my previous video and several of my other videos so far, then it's going to look something like this. Now this hex editor I made in Microsoft Excel so that I can color code it and I can have a comments column on the right to describe things. But basically, as you can see here, it's pretty self-explanatory. Shockingly, purple is first, then red, then blue, and then a yellow that's not the yellow that was in the Shadow Kingdom. That one is this yellow. This one is in the Peasants' Rebellion. I called it a golden yellow. And then we go down a little bit, then there's the green, and then gray, and then the white as in the AI ally in the Shadow Kingdom Mission 7 and 14. As well as, it's right here, the Peasants' Rebellion Missions 2 and 3. Yeah, and I didn't know why I didn't mention it, but it's also in Mission 1 too. So for the rest of this video, even though it'll say on my hex editor that it's just 2 and 3, it's also Mission 1 as well. And then we go down a little bit more. We have the really nice brown for the left village of the Shadow Kingdom Mission 8, and as well as these other missions here. And then the other brown, which is like an orange brown, that's in the Shadow Kingdom Mission 8 for the right village. And then finally we have the black, which is not really a black, it's a gray, but it's a very dark gray, because we have a gray that is also used, but not in the Shadow Kingdom, but in the Peasants' Rebellion. So I'll come back to this, but I'll show another example. Let's say we want to change the yellow to my favorite shade of purple, 640128. Well, one mission that has the default yellow is this one, so we can compare this, which we all know. Well, now I'm going to change it. Okay. There it is. There's their Lancers. And look, it even changed this too, this text here. I just wrote this little program to make a color palette of what these colors are. Because in my Microsoft Excel hex editor, I have them all just one solid purple. It's not like this purple is the purple in the game. I just use purple to signify purple, if that makes sense. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the row number where I want it to begin. And we'll start with purple because this is the order in which the colors are listed in the file. So I'll just honor that. And now that I click that, now you can see. So I didn't do this on purpose. This is how the gradient is. It looks like it's going from darkest to lightest, right? Obviously. So I'm going to click here for the next. I'm going to uncomment red. And I'll put this window on the side so we can see it happen, just to be neat. Next is the blue. Golden yellow. This is not in the Shadow Kingdom. This color is not in the Shadow Kingdom, okay? This is in the Peasants' Rebellion only. But the next yellow, that one is. Which is this. Yeah, how about that? They're all the same. Okay, next the green. Gray. This gray is not in the Shadow Kingdom at all either. And it's sort of like I guess it's like a greenish gray. It's not even a solid gray. But in the game, it looks more like a gray. But you can see, I guess, that it is that color. Alright, let's continue to the off-white. So it's going to be hard to contrast it with this white background. But there it is. And you can see in the Shadow Kingdom Mission 14, it's not so dark. There are some very dark parts of this flag, but the majority of it is lighter. At least half of it is. So what you see here is correct, but just take note of that. Next, this is the brown. That's in the Shadow Kingdom Mission 8. It's this one right here. The one on the right is the orange brown, I call it. Just distinguish it between this one right here. This is the same brown, right? These guys are the same color. So it's this brown. So I click there and let's see what this gradient looks like. It's shocking because it does look like this brown here, doesn't it? But this brown, well, that's the next one. So it's much more distinct. They're both like orange, but this one is more of an orange, I think. Then lastly, the black, and it's not really black, it's actually this. So there you have it. So I'm going to provide an image of this in the video description so that you can have it. So unlike this video, there isn't just one color that defines the player flag, because the code in the game is going to make a gradient of that color in the flag and also in the unit's uniform as well. And let's say I pull out my program that changes the colors again, and let's say that I want to change purple to that nice purple I like instead of what it was before. So we can see this purple in Mission 5, or I pulled out Mission 9. It's a very popular mission to speedrun, but there it is before. There you have it. So no gradient at all, right? Just a solid purple that I changed it to. And it's not that I can't change it to another gradient, but I just wanted to show that this program works, and the reason why I want to show this is that it's solid, because if I would have made a mistake and forgotten one, for example, as you can see in this hex editor I have in Microsoft Excel, which I can edit this file, but I don't have it set up to edit it, but I don't want to explain that right now. But if I would just change the first and the second color codes to another color, that's these two, I guess I can make them some sort of yellow. Like that. So this is what I would have to do if I didn't write the program. I'd have to manually change these. Then I would have this, right? It would be a mixture of something, because we have 7 different colors for gradients, but they don't all take equal space in the flag. It depends on which color it is in the gradient. So now I guess I'll get back to this. I wasn't really familiar with the colors in the campaigns because I haven't played them in a very long time. I mean, everybody knows the red and the blue and the purple and the green and the black, but the black isn't really a black. It looks like this. Shockingly. Getting back to this now, I want to kind of get a little bit more deeper into it, to what it means. First of all, this right here, these color codes, you can actually change the fog color. So I'm going to go ahead and do that from the hex editor that I just had on the screen. So this is the line with the 48. By default, we know that the fog is black. It goes red, green, blue, RGB color codes. So let's say we want to make it a green, even though it's kind of weird. Yeah, and it changes other things too now, okay? That's the problem with, if you want to change the colors of the players, it's not going to work out in your favor all the time. It's going to have once in a while, especially for the black, it's coloring the parts of the mountain and the coal and different things like that black. So if you wanted to change the black player to something else, you're going to have problems. Or if you wanted to change the blue player to red, there he is, right? This is the blue player right here. But now all of a sudden we have this changed to red because this was originally blue because it's part of the water. And so that's the problem with trying to change the colors of the players in the original game, because the way it is, they mapped everything, including every single type of terrain tile, to the same palette. I mean, heck, we could change this right here to all white. Then all of a sudden everything looks like, well, I have the green still fixed, but other things, it kind of looks like snow. Wish I could zoom in, but this is not the remake. So yeah, kind of cool to see the mountains like this. This is the Peasants Rebellion Missions 4. This is my catapults. See them here like that in the bakery. It looks pretty neat, I guess. I undid that one, and I'm going to do the same thing here for this section of the file. Loading the same mission. This looks much cleaner. This is actually something that people who make snow effects in the remake may be able to use as a model, because it's very little effort. I mean, I didn't do much of anything, and it looks really neat. Come up here to where the towers are. They look especially cool. Didn't do anything to the storehouse. There's other parts of the file that will modify the storehouse. Just have to make it all FF, which means white. It's 255. That looks really neat there. The mountains look good. Yeah, it looks like they have frostbite. Looks like icicles on this one, right? Coming back to the hex editor that I made in Microsoft Excel, this one was again to change the fog, but this one right here is to change the view box outline color, I guess. So currently right now it's white. Yeah, you see right now the rectangle is white that I'm moving around. But let's say I made it solid red, and then there you go. I don't know if it really changed anything else, because almost everything else I change in here, it drastically changes different parts of the map. But no, it looks like this one you can change and nothing else is going to change. Well, you see that leaf there in this when you click on this. So yeah, no, the menus are going to be affected. Yeah, so you see, you can't really freely change anything without some type of penalty for changing it. But this is not a bad thing. It's pretty neat actually to see this. But then the last one that is not related to the player colors exactly that I found that might be interesting is it's the border between the fog and the visible area. So right now it is almost completely black. It's a little bit on the yellow side actually. So 208, it's right here. Let's say we were to make this almost a solid red. So I'm gonna leave it a little bit, or I can make it a solid red. Colors this in too, so if you have a proper color, maybe a brownish color, then it's pretty neat to see that, I guess. But I don't want to get too off topic here, but you can see that's another important thing, is that with like the watchtowers, anything that's around the darkness, inside the crevices of the mountain where they are, and any of the missions that have mountains with crevices. This is mission 14's Iron Mountains at the top. It even changes the speed dial. I just want to show you what it looks like when you want to explore land. Looks pretty neat. Okay, so that's about it. So for those who wanted to know what the colors in the original game are, here they are. There's 11 different colors, so 11 different gradients. And I'm going to take a screenshot of this for y'all too, just to see the comments column, if nothing else, to see what missions each of these 11 different colors appear in the Shattered Kingdom and the Peasants Rebellion campaigns, because I didn't know. And speaking of which, I'm going to go back to the Peasants Rebellion Mission 4, because this is when I first discovered this golden yellow, and it would be really hard to spot with the naked eye the difference between the two. So what I'm going to do real quick is I'm going to change the golden yellow to a red. But before I do, I want to make it the default. I'm going to go ahead and load it. So I'm claiming it's this player right here. So this yellow is different than this yellow. It's kind of hard to see it. Now that you look at it and you say, okay, maybe it is a little different. But this yellow right here and this yellow are the same, but it's different than this yellow. So I'm going to change this yellow to like a red. And this is going to stay yellow just to prove that there are two different yellows. I'm going to change the golden yellow to a red. Okay, done. Alright, we're going to go and see. Now notice that when I change the color, that this does not change to red. It still stays yellow in the mini-map that I'm pointing to up here. Just briefly, let me just show that, yeah, these are yellow. This is the yellow from Lauenburg, from the Shattered Kingdom, missions 1 through 6. And of course, mission 20. Me of all people should remember that one. Yeah, but in that campaign, we realized that he wasn't such a bad guy after all. He turned around, he kneeled down towards the king, and he turned out to be okay, but not the other guys. But as you can see in the mini-map, this does not turn red like when we turn these red. So it's something to mention, because if we come back to my Microsoft Excel hex editor, for purple and red and blue, which I have cyan, but it's more like a blue, but in the Peasants Rebellion Mission 10, for example, it does look like cyan more than it does like a blue, or in other words, aqua blue. But anyway, golden yellow is also all solid, and what I mean by that is if I come down, okay, the Lauenberg yellow is solid too, but when we get to the green, then all of a sudden I have a pink on one of the RGB color codes, and I have a purple for the gray, and I'll explain this in a minute. This is very confusing, but I have that purple, and then I have this pink, and then I have this pink, and then I have this pink, and then nothing. The black is solid also. Let's say like I were to change the orange brown that makes up the Right Village in the Shadow Kingdom Mission 8, for example. What if I were to change that to, which is the orange brown as I call it in here, and is therefore the second to last gradient. Let's say we were to change it to a solid blue. Now you can see that in the mini-map up here it's blue, but when I change other players, like I just showed you in Mission 4 of the Peasants Rebellion, when I changed the golden yellow to a red, it didn't change in the mini-map. So I don't understand this, that why some colors in the palette do change it and other ones don't. And I went through all of the PAL files and modified them to see if any of them would change it, and none of them would change the player pixel colors, whatever you want to call them, in the mini-map, and they didn't. Only for the ones that I have marked in this image, which I'm going to give you, where the one exception is this special purple here, the other ones are pink to signify that that specific color code is the one that is also going to change the mini-map color as well. Now for green, it doesn't work everywhere. It's kind of conditional, so it even makes it even more confusing. But I say here for the Shadow Kingdom Mission 15, it's gonna work. For example, I just changed it back to the default. And what I'm going to do is modify where it says 368 and just change this one thing to whatever we want the green player to be on the mini-map. Let's say we wanted to make him like yellow, 255, 255, 0. So if I go to Mission 15, you can see it in the mini-map. He's yellow now. But if I go to another mission that the green guy is in, let's say Mission 14, he's still green. Part of his flag is yellow because this is part of the gradient. This is one of the gradient's colors. So you can see a little bit of yellow on the flag, but in the mini-map, he's still green. So it's kind of confusing, and therefore you can't really bank on changing the color in the mini-map except for the other colors. Well, not for the green anyway. That's the one exception. And I have a little note here to kind of let you know that maybe in other missions it'll work too, but I know at least in Mission 15, as I just proved to you, it does work. But for the other ones, like for the gray that I have this purple, and for the white or off-white that I have the pink, and all of the other ones here that I have the pink, it's just the two browns. These will definitely change with every map, at least that I've seen them in. It's a solid connection between the flag gradient and the minimap's player color. Okay, so finishing touches, I want to explain what this mess is here, because it's very clean when you have the purple and the red and the blue and the golden yellow and the regular yellow, the green, and then the two browns and the black. But when we go to the gray and the off-white, it's not a solid streak. It's going to be we count by 3. Each is a color code. It's the RGB, right? So the first two are two colors in the gradient of this gray that I'm calling it. Then this next one is also in that gradient, but it's also part of the white, because each color needs to have 7 colors in its gradient. And I manually verify that each of these will affect the flags of the players of the respective colors, if that makes any sense at all. So therefore, this color code, or this color, is shared. It's in both gradients for the gray player, as I'm calling him, and the white player. And you can see that on this sheet. They do share some colors. For example, this one. These two are the same, and it's in 2 different gradients. And similarly, this one. So that's what's going on here, and I say like part of gray and part of white. So this is where they're mixed. But this one is also mixed. I would have colored it this dark cyan just to kind of color code it, but this right here, this purple, is also the gray's mini-map color. So I had to distinguish it in some other way with another color. And these yellows here are not, even though they're in between, they are not at all associated with these players. So that's really confusing, but that's really the only confusing part. But the rest of it is consistent. And that's all there is to it. It's just one comment. I was very shocked to see that for the black player, he was not really in the Peasants' Rebellion very much. It was mostly the gray player. One other notable thing to mention is that for the orange-brown, it's in the Peasants' Rebellion Mission 9, but only the storehouse, which I assume, I haven't played in a while, but I guess it's going to be given to you if you behave. But then this other brown is the other brown. And down here, this player here is, which it looks like I kept the colors the same of what I've changed it to. I mean, excuse me, let me just change it back and go back into it. In the original game, as you can see, they were all the same color, but in the remake, this is a darker purple, I believe. At least from one video I've seen from a long time ago. But they are the same color in the original game. For those who maybe want to remake this original campaigns, that's just an FYI to pay attention to that. And that's all there is to it. So unfortunately, it's not like the remake, which you can say with authority that this is the color that is in the game. This is the color that makes up this player. It just doesn't work that way. Not in the original game. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching and have a nice day.